Hey buddies, Matt with Bandit Prospecting. Welcome back. Today we're back down at the river. We are not looking for gold though. We're scouting for gold. So the important part that I want to point out here is we've had a major high water event recently, and we got a lot of rain in a short amount of time, and the river is way up. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some scouting in our section of the river to see how the water is reacting right now during a high water event. Hopefully find some of those low pressure zones that are going to be good for trapping gold. So stay with me. We're going to do some scouting. Okay, if you've seen any of my videos before when I've been out here at the river, you can tell that this water is very high. There is a drop off. There's a ledge that drops off just shortly right after here. I'm not going to get too close to it in this water. But there's a ledge. If you've seen some of my other videos, you've seen me, right? This is the area right here where there's a little waterfall that I'll set up the sluice sometime and run the dirt through it. So this gives you a little indication of how high the water is right now. This is where the creek comes in. And again, this is normally, there's normally water all the way across here that's coming down here that then empties out into the river there and creates that waterfall where I'll clean out, where I'll run dirt sometimes. You can see there's a lot of light stuff that's been deposited here. I'm sure this has a lot to do with the river dumping it in here. I don't think it's coming down from up there. You can see the water was high in the creek too. I don't think all this water was coming from the head of the creek up there. I think a lot of this water was raised up due to the river. So this is telling me right here, a lot of this stuff is going to get deposited here. I think this has the potential for being good stuff to run at some point. As long as, I mean, we will have to test it out and see, is it silt or is it actually, are there some heavies that were deposited here? So, okay, so here's another field entrance. Right over, if you pay attention over here, this is the crevices that we have been cleaning out this year. And here we have a field entrance. You can see where the soybeans up there were hit underwater for a while. And we have a bunch of dirt that's been deposited by the river right here. This is mainly sand. Yeah, this is mainly sand. And the deeper I dig down, yeah. So this is mainly going to probably be light. This is probably going to be light sand. Up in this area here, you can see a low spot. Up there, there's a lot of, and you can see the dog sinking in, copper sinking in the mud. So that stuff is going to be lighter stuff. And we'll need to think about this. The water comes along here, is going to come into this opening. The lighter stuff is up there. At least the heavier stuff gets deposited here. We could check the upriver side of that, but that looks like that stuff's spinning around. That is going to be, that's lighter stuff. This is the heavier stuff. As I can look here, this is the heavier stuff in through here. Okay, so I just got to show you this. I spotted this first, and I looked in this little indentation here, and I thought, man, that looks like a bullet. And I reached down, sure enough, that's a bullet. That's a large bullet. I don't know, that's 45, at least 40 caliber. And then when I was just looking for that again, I come right over here, and here's another bullet. That is a mushroomed 22 bullet. And I think there's, yep, there's another one right there. So that's 3 bullets right there together, sitting on top of the bedrock here. So that's telling you that heavies were deposited here. Okay, so now this part of the river is a pretty straight shot. There's not any curves, any inside bends to look at in here, so we just have to catch where heavies could be dropping out here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to send the drone up, and I'm going to go up north. I'm going to send it up north to the area where I've been wanting to prospect, and just see if I can get an idea of how the water's flowing up there, to look for any low action areas and swift water action. This area right here is that low, that's where all the gravels are. That's a deposit right there. And let's turn. So that the area I'm interested in is right here to the left. That is, it's about right here below. And that does look to be a more slack area coming off that inside, or coming off that corner. Right down here is that area. You can tell that is more slack than that current out there. Now we're looking back at the area we came from. This is not the fastest I've seen this river. I've seen it moving a lot faster than this, but this is still at a clip. So, okay, buddies, it was a quick trip out the river today, and again, what I was doing was using this high water event to help take a look at the water patterns, how the river flows. We want to get out and prospect when we have low water, but it's important to know how the water reacts when there's high water, because during the high water is when the heavies are going to be moved around, the heavies are going to be deposited. In just this little area I was looking in, I found 4 bullets and a shell casing. That's them there. I'm sure those 3 are 22s. That could be a 9mm. I found all of those just looking in these crevices. So that tells you how the heavies are getting deposited in this area. So when this area dries out a little bit, we'll be back. We'll be after the heavies that got mixed up and got trapped in these crevices. And then we'll also, at some point this year, get up to that north area and work that gravel bar that's up there. It might not be there after this high water event. Who knows? But anyway, at least that gives us, we got an idea for how the water's flowing around here, and then we'll know how to treat it when we'll know how to work the river when the water's low again. Thanks for joining me. Like always, I'm glad you come out with me and share this experience with me. And I'm glad to share it with you guys. So thanks again. We'll see you out. Heavy pans.